Hello and welcome to Positive Space. In this video we have 5 very simple but highly effective design tips. Tip number 1 is going to help you quickly and easily cut out objects and images in Photoshop. So all we're going to do is open an image in Photoshop, make sure the layer's unlocked, and then come up to Select Subject. Now this is instantly going to select the main subject in your image, allowing you to quickly mask it without any magic wands or pen tools, and it's surprisingly accurate. So I'm just going to drop a coloured background in to see how clean it is. And if we zoom in, you can see it's not quite perfect, but it does a pretty good job for how fast it is, even looking at the hair, which can normally be tricky. Now I do see a couple of bits that it hasn't quite got, so I'm going to come in with the pen tool and mask them off manually. I can then save that as a PNG with a clear background, or drag it into Illustrator to create layered graphics. Now this even works with quite complex imagery with really tonal backgrounds like this one. So we're going to do the same thing, select subject, and let's see what happens. So again, you can see it has come out quite well considering how busy the background was. So that's going to allow me to quickly and easily make layered designs by combining this with different colours and typography. Speaking of layering, for our next tip, I'm going to show you how to create quick depth and layering in our designs. This is going to create eye-catching and striking compositions. So let's take a look at this design I've created for a creative fashion brand, Long Days. It's using some really simple tricks to create a layered and eye-catching aesthetic. So if we start from our main image, the first thing I'm going to do is add contrast by adding a bright orange background. Next, to create a change of pace, I'm going to add a border. Then to apply our text with a sense of layering and movement, I'm going to place them sort of just behind our main image, cropping off the page. Then to create a sense of pace, I'm going to contrast that bold text with some smaller details such as the logo in the top right corner and the release date very small in the bottom left. So it's all about contrasting sizes of different elements. I've also added some subtle background graphics to help with this. Finally, I've added a sort of dusty, scratchy texture in Photoshop to make it feel a bit worn and industrial. Then in contrast, I'm going to show you how it looks if you don't do any of those things. So as you can see, it's legible and easy to read, but it's just not interesting to look at and isn't going to be turning any heads. So always remember, contrast, layering, pace, texture. On to tip 3, these are my 4 best shortcuts that I use all the time. So first is Command B, and what this does is paste something behind a selected object. So for example, if I select the spring text, hit Command C, and then select the photograph and hit Command B, it's going to copy directly behind the photograph. Now if I want to copy it in front, I'm going to select the photograph again and hit Command F for copy in front. Now the more layered your file is, the more useful this is, because you can very quickly change the order of your objects. Next, I'm going to quickly show you how to hide and unhide an object. So let's say I'm trying to select the grid pan behind 2023, but the text is just getting in the way. So what I'm going to do is select the text, hit Command 3, and that's going to hide it, allowing me to easily move or edit the objects behind. Then to unhide it, I'm going to hit Command Option 3. And the last shortcut I use all the time is Lock. And to do this, you select an object, hit Command 2, and that's going to lock the object. Then to unlock it, same as unhide, you hit Command Option 2. Now if you get used to using those, I promise you they'll come in handy constantly and massively speed up how you work. Tip number 4, use smart objects for mockups, and just use mockups in general to show work. So let me show you. I'm going to paste in this poster design and keep it as a smart object. Then to make sure I can fully edit this, I'm going to come to the layer, right click and come down to convert to smart object. Now that's an important step. Then I can come and adapt my design by hitting Command T for transform and scaling it. Then I'm going to right click, come down to distort, and that's going to allow me to pull the corners in to sit directly over the poster mockup. Now, why the smart objects, you ask? Because now, if I want to edit this design without having to re-distort it to the correct size, I can just come and double click the smart object in the layers panel. And that's going to open it up in another window as a flat design. Now, because I placed this in from Illustrator, if I come and double click that smart object, it's going to open it up in Adobe Illustrator, where if I make any edits, such as changing the background color, I can simply do that, save it out, and that's going to update the smart object in Photoshop. Now, if I save that, that will automatically update in the mockup without me having to re-distort anything. And I can even just copy in completely different designs into this smart object once I've got it set up, which is going to save me a lot of time in the future as well. There are a ton of great mockups you can download online that have smart objects built in and already distorted and warped for you. Let's take this coffee cup for example. I just have to double click the smart object, copy in my design and adapt it to the right fit. And then when I save that out, it's going to update automatically, warping it. Now it's so important to get your designs across in the right way and make sure your client can visualize how your designs are going to live in the real world. And mockups are a quick and easy way of showing that. Now there are tons of free ones online, but one really convenient website is Placeit, which costs about $15 a month for unlimited and easy to use mock-ups of all different kinds. There's clothing, lifestyle, stationery, you name it, they've got it. So if you use mock-ups a lot like me, it's well worth the investment. Tip number 5, still like an artist. So if you want to know more about what I'm talking about in this tip, just read this book, Still Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. It basically tells you in a very clear way how creativity is all about bringing different things together to create new things and how to use inspiration to do so. Now, my favorite resource for doing this is Pinterest. So for example, I can just type in retro design effect. It's going to give me a bunch of different images. I can scroll down until I see something that I like, but the best thing about it is when I click through to that image, it's going to give me a whole bunch of other related imagery, which is going to give me lots of ideas for layouts, effects, typography, and illustration. Another great thing is if you scroll through, you'll see that there's tutorials on how to achieve certain effects, which is really useful as well. And again, there's kind of a chain reaction. If I click through to one tutorial, it's going to suggest a load of other tutorials with effects in the same sort of ballpark. So this is great for mood boards and image mapping, or just when you're in a bit of a creative rut. If you want to check my Pinterest out, where I'm going to be uploading different designs and tutorials, the link's in the description, as well as any links to other websites or assets. So that's it from me today, guys. And for more creative tips and tricks, just click through to my next video or visit my channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe.